when the currency unwinds and the assets unwind, the supply chains break. When the supply chains break, specialization of labor breaks down, the entire economy breaks down. Eventually, everyone has to grow their own food, right? You want abundance. You don't actually grow your own food in your backyard, right? Productivity drops by a factor of 100 to 1,000 if you can't solve this coincidence of wants problem. So you need sound money, and it needs to work across time and space. And the currencies that we use as a medium of exchange, they might be tradable over parts of space. Right now, by the way, it's probably illegal to actually pay someone in $1 in Nigeria.
Really?
Yeah, like so.
Just currency controls.
Yeah, capital control. You see capital controls all over the world, especially when the currencies collapse, the capital controls go in place. So you can't trade money, or you can't trade the currency across borders. And of course, you certainly can't trade the currency with your future self 10 years from now. And how do you even trade a currency? You know, in collapsing countries, you'll find nobody wants to sign a 3-year contract because the local currency is not going to be worth the same amount in 3 years. So you have a hard time trading in time with counterparties or in space. And so the key to abundance is fixing the money problem.
So you have this insight about, you know, digital currency, digital property. How long did it take you from studying this idea to making the decision to buy $250 million worth of Bitcoin?
I started thinking about it, I guess, late March, April. It took about 8 weeks before 4 to 8 weeks of constant thinking before I came to the conclusion it was a good idea. And it was probably, you know, for me to make the decision, I had made the decision personally by late May. I bought $175 million of Bitcoin in late May of 2020.
Personally?
Personally, but that was just me negotiating with myself. And I guess I started probably late March, early April. So that's 6 weeks to get there. And then we have a public company. So for a public company to do something, the officers have to buy in, the outside directors have to buy in, the accountants, the lawyers have to buy in.
I want to take us there, right? So one of your board members, one of your outside board members, great guy, Rick, is here with us today. I won't call him out. But you walk in. What was the process of getting a public board to do this?
Well, in that case, I actually pull the 3 most compelling videos on Bitcoin off of YouTube. You know, an Andreas Antonopoulos overview of Bitcoin, a debate by Eric Voorhees and Peter Schiff over Bitcoin versus fiat currency as money, probably some other background on Bitcoin. I put those 3 together. There's probably 3 hours of watching. I included some articles, some short articles, maybe by some of the Bitcoin OGs. I sent the package off to each board member. I said, I got some homework for you. It's probably going to take 3 to 5 hours for you to read through all this. Read through all of it, and then I want to meet with you. And then I set up one-on-ones with each one of them. And so I met with each one individually. I answered their questions. Then after that, we had a group meeting. Then after that, we broke into committees to study different aspects, the accounting, the disclosures, the whatever. And so it was a group process. And of course, the CFO and the general counsel at the time were also heavily involved in that.
Did they threaten to resign?
No.
Okay.
It was never a question of do it or don't do it. It was an observation that the world had come to a grinding halt. We had $500 million yielding 0% interest. We were our stock had hit $90 a share. The enterprise value of the company was about $60 a share. $60 a share, you know where the stock is right now. And we had been competing with Microsoft for about a decade. And for all of those of you who compete with Microsoft, you have an idea of what that's like. They have every company on earth as their customer, and they can bundle your product into their whatever. So it's not easy competing against Microsoft. We had experience. And we were under pressure from our shareholders. You know, it's like you have half of the market cap of the company is cash. You're earning 0% interest. You're not beating the cost of capital. The cost of capital is the S&P return. So anybody who looks at it says, if you're not getting 8, 9, 10% on the capital, you should give it back to us so we can invest it. And so we'd reached a point where the company was looking at a fast death. We just sell the company and call it a day. Or a slow death. We keep the cash and the stock is dead money. And that means the stock options are dead money. And that was the time when it used to be employees worked for you because they liked the community and the schools and their home, and maybe they were loyal to you because they saw you every day in the office. But think about what happened in the second quarter of 2020 when nobody came to the office and they could change jobs and go work for Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft, or Google without moving. All you do is just repath your Zoom account. And so all of a sudden you're staring at big tech, you know, the big tech companies more powerful than most countries and getting more powerful. And you've lost the human connection. They don't have to move to San Francisco. They can simply take a job. And nobody ever got hired by big tech for less money than they're making working for you. So from our point of view,
you were on the precipice of a serious.
It's like sell the company or just watch all your employees dwindle. You're going to get boiled off. And after the good employees leave, you know, the product will gradually deteriorate, you know, and you're competing against a digital monopoly that has more power than all but 4 countries on earth. And so we either do that or we take a risk. And so we were basically at a point where maybe we should take a risk. Now, having said all that, what really happened there is we deliberated. It took a long time to deliberate, a lot of education. And at the end of the day, we ended up announcing that we were going to do a Dutch auction and buy back $250 million of the stock at a premium coincidental with the purchase of the Bitcoin. So we didn't just take that risk. We basically said, we're going to take the company on a path you may not agree with, but we'll buy you out. And so we were prepared to give up half. I had to basically pay $250 million for the right to buy $250 million of Bitcoin in August of 2020. Right? That's the price we paid. That Dutch auction, the stock was about 121, 122. We offered to buy all our shareholders out at 140. We gave them 20 days to think about it. We bought the Bitcoin. No company had ever bought that much Bitcoin. And by the way, you know, following that, only Block and Tesla did it afterwards, but it was a very rare thing to do. Of course, Bitcoin cooperated by immediately trading down. We bought it at 11,800 and it traded down to 9,800 or something. So I was looking like a genius again. Buying the top. The Dutch auction ran, but the stock traded above the 140 price after a day or two. Everyone that didn't like the idea just traded out at above 140. We had $75 million tendered. We bought those shares at 140. We had $175 million left, and we bought Bitcoin with that. And so we had basically transformed ourselves into a company with Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset through that capital markets activity.